Hello guys and welcome back to a brand new review for today. And so I am overly happy because I am now reviewing one of my favourite shows of all time. I feel like that Doctor Who is yet again still one of my favourite shows and favourite dramas to watch. It's like my first place ultimate drama, but today I'm going to be reviewing my second favourite ultimate drama because this drama has a very soft spot in my heart because it has one of my favourite companions from Doctor Who, and she did a brilliant performance on this historical figure, and she really brought out who she was in the show. And so today we're going to be reviewing the brilliant and best historical drama of all time in ITV history. Has to be Victoria. Now, one person did comment down below in one of my videos that they wanted me to review Victoria, and I was so happy when they said that they wanted a review of Victoria because I absolutely adore Victoria to honestly bits, and I feel so happy reviewing it because it has a soft spot in my heart. And honestly, I might as well tell you now because I have these. How should I phrase it? I have a secret crush on Jenna Coleman. I have to be honest. When she was in Doctor Who, I still had a bigger crush on her, and even so within the show, she is my still ultimate, character, in Doctor Who, and still in Victoria. She is the star actress of the show, and I can't fault her. Her performances are really brilliant. Not only in Doctor Who, but in Victoria, she is 100% incredible. Absolutely an astounding and beautiful, stunning performance by Jenna Coleman, playing the brilliant and very underestimated and very powerful greatest queens in Britain's history. Definitely. She really portrayed the role really well. And after Victoria reading Queen Victoria's old sketchbooks and diary entries, she kind of got into the into the role of Queen Victoria at that time, reading all through her diaries and what she experienced in her lifetime. Jenna Coleman astoundingly portrayed her herself as almost like a representation of Queen Victoria herself. So I thought that was really great of her. But also her performances, even riding horses, the dance scenes, playing the piano, they were all really great. I didn't even know that Jenna Coleman could actually ride a horse, play the piano, and do all these incredible stunts. I thought she was amazing. She really stole the show with her brilliant performances, as well as the co-ed duos together with also Prince Albert, played by Tom Hughes, and also Lord Melbourne, played by Rufus Sewell. And so I think both of those characters, both there, having a relationship with Victoria. I think Prince Albert has more of a modest but very loving relationship with Victoria. Although they don't get off well in the first, in the fourth episode, where Albert introduces himself to Victoria, because they feel like that Albert would make the perfect husband for Victoria. And so within that fourth episode, Victoria was like so crying her eyes out, like, I don't want to marry a stupid boy like Albert. And yeah. But then also we have the secret, the greatest bond between Victoria and Lord Melbourne. And so when they first meet each other, I feel like that's Victoria almost like sees him as a representation of a brilliant, great friend, honest friend, who kind of respects her for who she is. She is the Queen, and for what she stands for in the society of England. And so I think that as Lord Melbourne is the Prime Minister has to get along with the Queen, and I think they get along really well. They do brilliant performances together. They do a lot of dance scenes. Lord Melbourne's almost like attached to her, like And also the same with Victoria. Victoria cannot get enough of Lord Melbourne. She's like she's hooked on like to a string on him, and so they definitely have a really secret. They have a very special but very loving relationship. I mean, Victoria at like the third episode, she kind of felt in the arms and almost felt attracted and so dazzling and dazzled by Lord Melbourne's expertise and kind words to him. She felt immobilized, almost hypnotized by him, because she kind of really feels the respect and honesty that Lord Melbourne gives her, but she really wants to be with him forever. But in the show, it's not how it seems. In the fourth episode, we see Victoria seeing that she hates Albert, like me and Albert are not suited. But then as they move into further episodes, Prince Albert has a much more modest but very honest relationship with Victoria. But he also has a very interesting background as well as that, which makes Victoria feel kind of sorry for what happened to Albert and his family. That his mum rejected Albert and left him when he was like 5, on his 5th birthday, and Albert never saw his mother again, and he never had the upbringing that Victoria had. He never had that, of where a mother treated him with honest respect and treated him with such loyalty, but that never happened to Albert, but it did for Victoria. And so we kind of see that the indifferences between Albert and Victoria, but as the episodes went on, they do have arguments of whether this, now you're being rude, no, I'm being honest. And so they really have a few disagreements, but honest, in the centre and in the heart of their relationship is their love together. They are a brilliant couple, and at the start of episode 5 we see how loving and so Victoria and Albert are so loving together, because they are so romantic in episode 5 and onwards. They are so romantic together, and I think they give out such an amazing and wonderful feeling whenever you're watching them, feeling that Victoria has found the perfect husband or the perfect man to marry. Because I think it was when in one episode where she thought to herself like, am I ever going to get married? But the whole point of getting married is not to have a husband and have kids. It's just in order for yourself to feel safe and pleased. The only thing that Albert wants to please is Victoria, and Victoria, all she wants is just somebody to look after him and protect her almost, and that's all she wants. A husband who loves her but protects her at the same time. And that's the same concept that Albert has for her in order for him to marry her. And so I really get that concept of romance in the story. They really have a brilliant and honest, loving marriage together. It's really special. But then we have Francatelli and Mrs. Garrett, who also have a secret but very loving relationship. Francatelli comes in like in the 2nd episode, but as the story goes on, we kind of see the kind of bigger bond between Mrs. Garrett and Francatelli. Francatelli appearing in dark alleyways, talking to Mrs. Garrett, scaring her out of her wits, like, I've seen you before, Mrs. Garrett. You've been here quite a while. And he almost has like in for Mrs. Garrett almost. It's almost like a dark and secret, like, there is something that you're not telling me. It's almost like a Doctor Who moment where I know what you're up to, and I know who you are. But what are you doing out here in the blue, Mrs. Garrett? I mean, you just appeared from nowhere and you got the job. Almost like kind of that situation. It's almost like making you being scared, really. And so it's a bit strange how Mrs. Garrett came to be from a pack of like where she was living at the time, and then suddenly she moved to become a maid in the Buckingham Palace, and that's very strange. And I thought how a girl like her would get into the Buckingham Palace like that. It's just out of complete coincidence. And so really they have a bit of a confrontation between each other, but in the end they really do love each other almost. But then in the final episode, where we see the little final end, we see Mrs. Skerritt going towards a chef, but actually turning out that it's not actually Francatelli. Francatelli actually left Buckingham Palace to go and join another fresh career, but instead Mr. Skerritt decided not to go with him because he kind of felt that this is more of her home now, looking after the Queen and being her and being her servant almost, her maid, yeah. And so we kind of feel like the kind of sadness and also loss that Francatelli did have at the end. But throughout the whole show, they really do have a very secret but very cunning relationship. And so I think that was one of the best relationships that they've had, but it didn't last forever because as Francatelli left in the final episode, Mr. Skerritt, felt so upset that such a really honest but very loyal friend just left her, and she feels just so upset just missing Francatelli just now. And so I feel like that relationship did come into play. But we also have many other relationships like the Duchess and Ernest, where I think it was like in the 5th episode where Duchess and Ernest have like a secret but also very sexual relationship, because it's almost like one of those moments that she is not safe, where a man who has yet to be married, and so Ernest is kind of like a ladies' man, but in the space where the Duchess was a bit, talking to him, they had their own moment in the final episode, and all Ernest wanted was just a piece of her hair, just to remind him of how a brilliant and honest woman the Duchess was at that time. And they really do have a very secretive but very interesting relationship, I have to say, but very strange but yet interesting. And then all the the kind of act of being in the hands of an unmarried woman. I mean, the Duchess is married, but when Ernest goes towards her, she feels almost not tempted, but Ernest feels the kind of urge like to touch her and be with her. It's almost like a bit of a romantic side, but we kind of see the unrequited love that Ernest has with Duchess and Ernest. And I felt that with that unrequited love, almost just rejecting Ernest because he doesn't feel right, really. It just feels like that he has like some kind of urge to play around with Duchess a bit and almost impress her, to please her almost. Because at the moment Albert is pleasing for Victoria, but Ernest almost feels left out, really. And so we kind of see the big relationship between Duchess and Ernest as well. Now, who else do we have a relationship with? Oh yes, Sir John and the Duchess of Kent, Queen Victoria's mother. We kind of see the kind of agreements between both of them. Like, she's taking his advice on how Victoria could become a better ruler instead of being a childish and inappropriate and informal girl instead, where she's being kind of like a very aggressive but very ignorant and irritated woman, really. And we kind of see that her mother and Sir John is almost planning something against Victoria, that she's not capable of being queen. And I feel like that's some kind of like a plan to get rid of Victoria of being queen. But we also see the kind of I think it's Albert's uncle, where she speaks to Victoria's mother of where Albert would be perfect for Victoria. And then we also see in the scene where the uncle of Albert tries to confront Victoria, of where Albert, like, you should definitely marry Albert, it's for your own good. But then she sort of like disagrees with him. But then in like a few in a few days time or months time, you will suddenly realise that you'll find yourself so alone and isolated, and he's almost like trying to scare Victoria into thinking, perhaps should I marry or should I not marry? Almost kind of that. I don't know who he plays. I can't remember the actor who also plays him, but he definitely brings out a really kind of creepy but very sinister feel to the whole show. But also we have Lazen and Victoria, who Lazen really thinks as her bridesmaid, but almost like her second mother really, whereas her Queen Victoria's real mother is tagged along with Sir John and you know, going with his advice and following him, you know, throughout the whole show. We see Lazen becoming like almost like a grandmother to Victoria, almost like somebody to look after her and, you know, give her a sense of honesty and pride, because Lazen does respect the Queen very much. She's very, very kind and very honest, and she gives Queen Victoria whatever she wants. And she really feels like in the comfort zone of Victoria, where Victoria really accepts her as a very helpful but very honest and, you know, kind woman of helping her out. Because Victoria never had that of her mother, but with Lazen, Lazen really feels as a really stepmother, really, almost. And she kind of feels a brilliant stepmother to Victoria, almost guiding her but also yet pleasing her in some way. It's almost like Lazen and Victoria are really best friends, almost like mother and daughter almost, but they really are the really best of friends in this show as well. And so I really think, I don't know who plays Lazen, or I don't know, I think I need to, you know, have a look of who plays Lazen. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this first little bit of Victoria. We were only looking through about the relationships between the other characters, all the loving relationships and romantic relationships, but hopefully in the next other videos I'm going to be, this may take about 3 parts, because maybe next time I'm going to be doing the plot line, and maybe the other episode will do like a whole summary of the whole show. So yeah, maybe we'll do a bit more on relationships next time, and maybe we can get into the plot line of what actually happens in the show. Anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed this first part of Victoria, the review. And so guys, if you are definitely loving the review at the moment, and if you definitely love Victoria, then please do like, share and comment down below what you thought of Victoria. Please do, because Victoria is a well-known and it's a well-favourite show in many people's eyes. It really is, and I absolutely adore Jenna Coleman. She is just my favourite actress of all time. Like I said, I have a celebrity crush on her. She's my ultimate crush. And so I just can't get enough of her. In the show, she's so irresistible. I just can't let her go. And so, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this special. I hope you have enjoyed this review of Victoria. And so, next episode, we're going to do a bit more on the plot line, and maybe a bit more on relationships / alliances, maybe in the show. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe as well to my channel. It'll be a really big help. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you soon.